Hello, my name is Alina from beautiful and sunny and hot and sweaty Naples, Florida. I am here to talk about real estate, and real estate with an emphasis on the rental market. Why the rental market? Because nobody seems to be talking about the rental market. And I don't understand why, because we have a very, very busy rental market here in Southwest Florida. And there have been a lot of changes. Just like we're seeing changes in the sales market, we're seeing a lot of changes in the rental market. And a lot of people are just not understanding why they're not getting the same amount of money that they were getting in the last 3 4 years that they've owned their property. So if you bought your property between, let's say COVID 2020 and 2024, you only know the rental market or any market at its highest. You've never experienced our rental market before COVID. So if your property was renting for $3,500 in 2021, and here today someone's saying, "Hey, I'd love to rent your property, but 2,500 is my number," and you're like, "Well, no, it's worth 3,500." It may not be worth 3,500. 3,500 might have been a very inflated price, but because you entered our market in the last 4 years, that's all you know. So it is important to understand that the market is changing, pricing is changing. You have to adjust. Why do we have a saturated market? Because the demand has subsided. People are now moving here at a normal pace. The COVID induced insanity is over, but we have a lot of supply. Everyone and their mother bought a property during the COVID years, whether they were planning on moving down in a few years, whether they had extra money in the bank and borrowing money was super cheap and they wanted to buy a rental property. Maybe they bought a home with the hopes of moving down or using it more. And now they're realizing they're not moving down. They're not going to be using, they have a vacant property. They don't want to sell it. Maybe it doesn't make sense to sell. People have all different types of reasons. So all that has added to our inventory. And one more thing that I've noticed in recent history is that we have a ton of these luxury apartments popping up all over the place. And I'm sure that their building was planned years ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and they're only now finishing up building. So now, if you have a 1 or 2 or 3 bedroom condo, that is your competitor. These luxury market apartments, they're 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms. That is your direct competitor. They're brand new, they're modern, they have great amenities, and they offer move-in incentives. So I think their rates depend on their occupancy. So if their occupancy is low, they're going to be offering all kinds of move-in incentives, such as first month's rent free or first month's 50% off. And a regular condo owner cannot offer that. So you're competing with the brand new luxury markets if you have condos. Condos are having a little bit of a rough time getting rented right now. So important to understand what you can do to change and adapt to the changing market. Otherwise, you're just going to be sitting there with a vacant property. We do not want that to happen. Now, if you own a property in Florida, I would love to hear about it. Drop me a comment. Let me know how you're doing. Have you owned it a long time? Did you buy it at a good price? Did you buy it at a good time? Are you making money with it? Are you breaking even? Is it costing you money? Is it harder for you to find a tenant, or nothing has changed for you? I would love to hear different, because every market is different. I'd love to hear your feedback about my video, and I'd love to hear your experience and opinion. I have one request: be nice. I don't want to hear comments. This girl doesn't know what she's talking about. I do know what I'm talking about. You may not agree with me, and your situation may not apply to what I'm saying, but I know what I'm talking about. So let's be nice. Love to debate. Tell me what you're thinking. So back to the story. High supply, low demand. What do we do? Well, there are a few things that you can do. You have to understand that it's a competitive market and you have to be competitive. So you have to offer the market a good product. That means a nice, clean, updated, renovated property. I'm not talking about a full kitchen remodel, and I will get into details of what you can do to make your property stand out in other episodes. But really, if you have an old property, you're going to have to take a look around and see, does it need to be cleaned? Believe it or not, for some reason, people neglect cleaning. And I'm not talking about just hiring a cleaning lady, just wiping down the walls. I'm talking about deep, deep cleaning, power washing, getting your tile clean, getting your rugs professionally clean. You have to invest money. It is a business. If you have a rental property, it's a business. Invest the money. It'll come back to you. You have to stand out from competition, because when I go to show property and it's dirty, right away just makes a bad impression. Guess what? Your neighbor is renting the same property. It's clean, it's nice, and it's priced better. You're going to be sitting there vacant. So give the market a good product, price it competitively. Do not look at Zillow what your neighbors are asking. If you are if your price, let's say at $3,000, and your place is not renting and your neighbor is listing at 5,000, you know how many calls I get? Well, my neighbor is getting $5,000 a month and you priced my property at 3,000. And my question is, well, is your neighbor getting that $5,000 or are they wishing to get that $5,000? I'm going to drop some what I call golden nuggets throughout my speech, and I'll point them out. Here comes a golden nugget. But before I do that, I'm going to give credit where credit is due. The term golden nugget, when it comes to these real estate little advices, I am stealing from my very good my very good friend Joe Cat. He and his wife are seasoned investors. They have investment properties here in Naples, and I help them rent all of their properties. So he's a good friend and a mentor and a client of mine. So I'm stealing his golden nugget terms. Thanks, Joe. The golden nugget is a listed price is a wish price. That is what your neighbor is wishing to guess. He can price his property at $10,000. It does not mean that he's going to get it. So do not look at your neighbor making mistakes, thinking that his property is, a castle that no one else has and people will pay him that money. You look at what people are looking when someone comes through your property and they like it, but they're not making you an offer. Why don't they like your property? Or maybe they like your property, but they're saying it costs too much. You ask them, how much would you pay for this? And they'll make you an offer. And guess what? If you get an offer of some people saying, listen, we really like your property, but we will pay $2,500 for this, then guess what? That is your market value. A market value is a fair market value is what someone is willing to pay for your property. So if no one is offering you that $3,500, that is your wish price. Stop wishing and understand that the market has changed. Adjust your pricing. The other, I don't want to call it a golden nugget. This is going to be a very ugly truth, and not everybody's going to like it. But rent prices are not reflecting cost of ownership. So if your property is costing you, if your HOAs, taxes, and insurance has gone up and your expenses are now higher than they were, you raise the rent, you may not get a tenant because rent prices are not coinciding the cost of ownership. Unfortunately, as the owner, you're going to have to figure out what to do. Listen, when you buy a property, you can't predict the future. And unfortunately, some people were sold some lies. They were promised high rent amounts that they're just not getting. They were counting on this amount, and in reality, they're getting this much. So now we have to deal with this. And I am getting a lot of calls from a lot of frustrated people that bought in recent history, especially, who's having a hard time? Some new construction. Some people signed contracts in 2021, 2022, when the market was hot and the cost of that property was really high. And by the time the builder is done building in 2023 and 2024, the resale of those properties has come down. So imagine you're closing on the property that you're paying $550,000 for, but a resale, somebody's trying to resell the same type of property for 450, 420, and they can't even get that much. You unfortunately signed a contract not knowing in 21 or 22, and now here we are in 2024. The prices have come down and you're still paying 22 prices, and the rent is not going to cover your expenses. I'm getting quite a few calls on that. There's a couple of communities that I know of where they sold dreams and promises, and the people are just not getting the rental numbers that they were anticipating, or they're paying way more than the property's worth now. And it's a mess. So as a homeowner, whenever you own, seasoned investors know you have to weather any type of storm. And this is not the kind of market where you tell the market what you want. This is the kind of market that the market gives you what it'll give you. The best thing you can do is give them a good product, price it competitively, be smart about it. Again, don't wish for that price. A list price is a wish price. Your neighbor, he might be a little bit, thinking that he lives in Port Royal and he's charging Port Royal prices in North Fort Myers kind of situation, if you get my drift. I'm just saying, that saying, what is it, champagne taste on the beer budget? He might have a beer budget property, but asking champagne prices. Don't be like that neighbor. And the other golden nugget that I will bring this up over and over again, if you want to get tenants, be pet friendly. What? What are you talking about, Alina? Yes, be pet friendly. You know why? Because Our area is not pet friendly at all. You have all these communities, the breed restrictions, the weight restrictions, the size restriction, the this restriction. They don't allow tenants to have pets. Guess what? America is a very pet friendly country. We all have pets. So don't punish potential tenants because they have a dog. Why wouldn't you accept a dog? A dog is not necessarily going to destroy your property. Guess what? There are people that will, first of all, tenants will tell you everything you want to hear before they move in. Okay, they will tell you that they will treat their property as their own, which is not always the best thing because not everybody treats their own property well, and that their pets and kids are the best behaved in the world and they're the cleanest, neatest freaks. Everybody tells you the same thing. It does not guarantee that they're going to move in and they're going to treat their property the way that you would treat your property. So you're running a business, you have to anticipate wear and tear, you have to anticipate some damages. Just because someone has a dog does not mean that there will be damages. Just because someone doesn't have a dog also doesn't mean that they won't damage your house. I prefer dogs to children because I have both, and my kids destroyed our house. My dog never destroyed my house, but unfortunately, we cannot discriminate. So be pet friendly. There's no reason not to be pet friendly. You're running a business. Some people get so emotionally attached to their rental properties, but you can't do that. If you're putting your property on the market, you have to remove your emotions and understand that you're trying to make money. That means you're running a business. Run it like a business. Give people what they need. I always say, golden nugget moment. Give the market what it needs. You cannot tell the market what you want, okay? You can't open up a store and sell things that are only specific to your very specific taste, and they say, oh, I have no buyers, nobody's coming into my store and buying. Well, that's because you're not catering to the market, you're catering to yourself. Cater to the market, give the market what it needs. And another, oh my gosh, I'm just full of golden nuggets today. Change the terms of requirements of move-in costs. Traditionally in our market, first, last, and security is what landlords require, but you know what? Not everybody has 3 times the amount of rent to give you when they move in. So it's okay to waive last month's rent. Last month's rent is just a little cushion that that a landlord takes. It's a prepayment for the last month. So if your tenant breaks their lease early, you have that little cushion to cover you for 1 more month before you find another tenant. It is a nice cushion to have, but it's not necessary. And a lot of people have different situations. They may have a good salary, but they are getting a divorce and they're paying a big mortgage on their house, or they're paying alimony or child support, and they just don't have that much disposable income to just give you 3 times the amount of rent. Waive last month's rent. Vet the tenant, meet them, check their financials, check their income verification, check their bank statements, see how much money they have. You know, if they have a clean history, give them a chance. You know, don't sit there waiting for that perfect tenant that's going to come in and throw money at you. If they have all that money to throw at you, they're probably going to be buying their own property. So really take every potential tenant as an individual basis and just case by case. Do what you can to secure a good tenant. I cannot tell you how many good tenants I have found because I gave them a chance. One guy had a criminal history, and he didn't have enough money for the 3 times the amount of rent to move in. I checked him out. I checked his criminal history. It was a domestic thing related to his divorce, but unfortunately, it's on his record. I gave him a chance. Guess what? He's a wonderful tenant. That's my own personal property. I waived his last month's rent. He didn't have $12,000 to move in. That's okay. I wanted to have a good tenant. I filled my house. He's still there. He's wonderful. Pet owners, I can't tell you how many times I've had to beg owners, please, these are such good people. They will make great tenants, but they have a dog. Don't punish them because they have a dog. And owners that have agreed to take tenants with dogs, those tenants will end up being the best tenants in the world. So listen, don't do not decrease your rental pool. In this market, you have to have as much of a rental pool as possible. So look at everyone on an individual basis and don't just have certain standards and criteria that people cannot fit. Give the market what it needs, okay? Now, if you have any questions about anything real estate related, rentals, investments, buying, selling, anything, give me a call. Free information, you got it. You just want to pick my brain, you got it. You want to talk shop and you want to do some business together, I'm open for that too. You see, I'm very accessible, available. I'm chatty. Give me a call. Text me. I'm more about texting than voicemails, but if you must leave a voicemail, that's fine. I'll get back to you. Here's my little remote control to stop the video. Sunny regards from Naples, Florida. Until next time.